I'm Till. I'm the General Director of SOS Humanity and the Head of Operation of the rescue ship Humanity 1, where we are right now. So in the next half hour, we will show you around our rescue vessel. Currently we are in port of Siracusa, which is on Sicily, and we are having a small break for winter preparation, which we use to open up the ship to the public. We were hanging a photo exhibition which shows our vessel in operation, as you usually cannot see it when we are in port. As we knew that not everyone is able to come down to Sicily, we decided to go live today and to take you on a small ship tour, showing basically all the important areas of our ship and showing some crew members who will explain you their position and their workstation. In the end of this whole tour, you should have a good view about how we operate this vessel and what makes SOS Humanity to SOS Humanity. And right now we'll wait a bit until more people joined our live stream, and then we will start going through the whole ship basically. And you will have the possibility to ask questions in the end, so you can already basically put your question into the chat. Don't hesitate to ask any question. We are happy to answer everything in the end of the tour, so you can already use the chat. People are monitoring it, collecting the questions, and in the end we will tackle them all. So right now I'm standing on the top deck of Humanity 1, and that's already one of the big strengths of this vessel. We are operating a quite big rescue vessel, being able to accommodate more than 200 people, in emergencies even up to 500 people. And the strength of this deck is that it's quite high. So when we are here, we are usually doing our search, which means that when we enter the area of operation, one big part of our whole mission is to search for distress cases. That means that crew members are sitting here with binoculars and scanning the horizon. In shifts of 1.5 hours, from 1 hour before the sun rises and 1 hour after the sun goes down, we are scanning the horizon searching for distress cases. This is one of our biggest advantages, that we are so high, so we can look quite far. Up to 16 kilometers we can look ahead, and that's a great strength of this vessel. So we already this year found a lot of distress cases just by spotting them through the binocular. We also have different other means, for example our radars. We have 2 big radars which are currently not running because we are in port. Usually they're turning, showing us all the obstacles around us. And these radars we can monitor from the bridge, which is just 1 deck below us. And we will go there because there we will meet our officers and the captain, and they will explain you how everything works and after we spotted a distress case. And let's go. So as I said, right now we were entering the bridge. This is our commando center. It's like where everything comes together, where we communicate with authorities, where the whole operational coordination happens. But before we spot a distress case, as I said already before, we are searching a lot, and that means also our vessel needs to patrol in a certain area. To plan voyages, therefore, we have a second officer, which is currently Carolina. And Carolina can explain us a bit better what she's doing when we are at sea.
Of course, first of all, we depart from Sicily, from Siracusa, and then we are heading southwest. And whilst we start to head there, we are going to our area of operation. We operate here. So that means that we need to stay in communication with other NGOs and other assets to have all the areas covered. Once we arrive to the area of operation, we start to make search patterns. So the search pattern is like we basically going east and west, and then we are going south and north to have one area covered.
And I see on your screen that you are basically able to plan these voyages. So we're having an autopilot on board, and I guess this is what you are doing there.
Yeah, with the autopilot, we set our course and our navigation, and as I say to you, we are going the first west or east, and then we are going north or south to have all the area covered. So we basically follow this pattern that you can see here, and depends of the area that we choose. SAR 1, that is the west, or SAR 2, that is going to the east.
And east and west always from Tripoli.
Yeah, it's important to say that, the point that we consider always like a origin point, or the point of where we start to do like SAR 1 or SAR 2 is north of Tripoli.
Yes, thank you so much, Caro.
You're welcome.
So basically, as I said, we're planning voyages, we're patrolling, and then we have distress cases. There starts a whole chain of communication, because we're always operating in line with international maritime law, which means in close coordination with maritime rescue coordination centers and authorities. And that's our main rule, apart from steering, of course, our vessel, for the captain. He's responsible for all the communication with the authorities. And currently we have Captain Josh on board, who can explain us better what he has to do when we are having a distress case spotted.
Yes, as soon as we spot the distress case, we started communication chain, like you already said, to Rome, either via email or via satellite phone, to not only reassure that we are acting within the law, but also in case that we need, for example, a medical evacuation, that they are all already aware of what we are doing and can send as soon as possible and target another boat to assist us. Once the communication is started, once we spotted the case and they are aware, we launch our RIP, our fast rescue boat. In order to do so in accordance how the weather is, we need to change the course. We can either do it from here, from the inside, from this big control panel, but we also have the possibility from the outside to adjust course and speed in order that the people can safely embark and disembark on the RIPs. As soon as the rescue is complete, then again we inform the authorities about how many people we rescued and in which state they are, and ask also for further assistance and for the coordination of a safe place of safety.
Nice. So that means like all the information basically comes together at your position, so that you are able to inform the authorities closely in time, meaning that basically all the stations of the rescue, like on the water but also on the deck, they are communicating constantly with you.
Yeah, that's confirmative. Not only the Rome, but also the SAR coordinator on the water, who's responsible only on the water. Everything that is happening on board is under my charge. So I have VHFs for the external communication, for example, with the Italian assets, or with the aircrafts or other assets in the area, but also internal communication to communicate with the deck if we need additional rescue equipment, for example, or if they need to prepare the deck to recover the persons or the RIPs.
Sounds quite stressful, to be honest.
It is.
Thank you so much, Josh. So, as we said, or as Josh described, as soon as we have the distress case and we are in need to assess the case, we need to launch our fast boats. And that's why when our captain sets up the call, get ready to rescue. And then the first team which needs to get active is the deck team, which is led by the bosun. And we are going to visit him on his workstation now. Hi Gabriel, I already explained our visitors that at one point there's this call get ready to rescue because we found a distress case and we need to bring our people closer to the case to assess it. Can you explain us a bit better what does it mean for you and your team to get ready to rescue?
Getting ready to rescue, it is our responsibility as a team. I have 3 guys who works with me, who are the competent ABs I have on board. They have to unlatch the boats, one, and get ready to lash the boat to embarkation deck. With that, it means the people who are going for the rescue must join the boat at the embarkation deck. Then we'll proceed to get things ready and go forward for their rescue job. So that is my job and responsibility. No matter the weather, I still have to launch the boat.
And this you do with it, David. This is like a crane. You can see it in our background. This is one of our speedboats, and you're also the crane operator on board.
Exactly. I do it with the David. The David's operation is quite critical in the sense that it doesn't work like the normal crane. It has its challenges, but since it is a professional something, we know how to go about it.
It's really good to have you on board to bring our ribs into the water.
Thank you so
Because
much.
at the moment the ribs are in the water, our search and rescue coordinators are taking over. They have been on the bridge with the captain coordinating already the assessment, but now the search and rescue coordinator goes on board of the rib, our speedboat, to then coordinate the rescue from the water. Currently on board is Vivi, our search and rescue coordinator, and she can explain us better what happens as soon as the ribs are in the water approaching the distress case. Hi Vivi.
Hello. As soon as the rib are in the water, we start to head to the boat in distress with 2 ribs, with Bravo and Tango. And when we approach the rib, I try to assess the situation. I check the structure of the boat, if it's damaged. I try to check if there is medical case, and I'm constantly in contact with the bridge, communicate and give relevant information about that. And as soon as we stabilize the situation, because we have also a mediator, we try to speak and calm down people. We start to give life jacket to people, and then I start to shuttle people and transfer people on the mothership. And as long as the rescue is over, I continue to take care of people and try to continue to reassess and to perform the rescue in a more safe manner as possible.
Nice. So you basically bring life jacket for everyone out to the distress case. Does it mean that nobody really has life jackets before?
Usually they have no life jacket, they have no safety equipment, they have no navigation equipment, they have no clue at all how to drive a boat. So really they are completely lost most of the case, and they're really happy when they have life jacket, because it's the first thing that make them they feel like safe when they have life jackets.
And basically they are safe. I remember that we consider them as a quite stable boat as soon as they have life jackets.
Yeah, still we have to reassess constantly the situation, because even if they have life jackets, it depends of the weather, it depends of the structure of the boat. There is the high risk of capsizing, or for example rubber boat of deflating, so we cannot relax any moment. We have to be constantly monitoring the situation and try to be reactive all of the time.
Thank you, Vivi. So basically, as we heard, we are shuttling the people shuttle by shuttle, first women, children and then men, and they are arriving on the boat landing, which is right below us. And down there we're having a medical doctor who is doing the first health triage. So cases who are not critical in health, they can proceed on the deck, and the other ones which are really in critical status, they proceed straight to the clinic. And in the clinic there's waiting our care coordinator who's responsible for all the post-rescue care. We're going to meet her there. So I think this is quite nice on our ship that the clinic is straight to the embarkation area. So here right now we are standing, the people are arriving, and the medical doctor can decide should they go straight to the clinic or can they proceed on the aft deck where they are registered and supplied. We're having a really well-equipped clinic where we are right now, and this is Francis, our care coordinator, one of our care coordinators actually, and she's responsible, as I said, for everything which happens after the rescue. So Francis, can you tell us a bit what happens when people come on board?
Sure. So I think as you explained already, Till, as soon as people come on board, we register them so that we are able to identify the most vulnerable people, and we supply them with a rescue kit, which contains clean clothes, food, water, a towel, a toothbrush, and we also provide a blanket. This is because we want that people can feel as safe and supported as possible the moment that they come on board. They're usually exhausted from their journey and they want to sleep. They usually shower very soon after coming on board. And then really, once they've had the chance to do these things, that's the moment that they start to feel relaxed. And that's when we start to provide our holistic and survivor-centered care. So we start with medical consultations in the clinic, and that's with our medical team, which includes a psychologist. And also on that basis, we provide specialized referrals for people who need specialized support on land. So our protection representative works very closely with the medical team and also the cultural mediator in order to provide the referrals. They also provide information sharing, which could be information about the asylum procedure and what people can expect when they arrive on land. It could also be information about women's health in the women's shelter. It's really information that we want the survivors to have so that they feel empowered to make decisions about their future and empowered to make informed decisions and to have a degree of certainty to the extent that they can. Yeah.
So basically you have a quite big team to both do health and humanitarian care, but also to do a lot of monitoring of the situation of the people. What happens when the people leave the ship? Can you provide any more information? Are we working together with other NGOs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we have collaborations with several partner NGOs on land, and we have a communication line where we send them information before the disembarkation about special cases that we want them to take care of. And then the way that this works is that these partners often come to the disembarkation and we're able to hand over the cases straight to them. And if it's not possible, then we maintain email communication and we do the best that we can to ensure that the people receive the support that they need on shore.
It's a quite big and well-equipped clinic. Can you tell us who is the staff who is responsible for the healthcare?
So our medical team is 4 people. We have a doctor and then a paramedic or a nurse, a midwife and a mental health specialist. And they work very closely together to provide holistic support. So we're always communicating with each other about the needs of the people that we treat. So that this way we can identify not only medical needs but also psychological needs and social needs and work together as a team, as a care team to really provide a holistic and survivor-centered approach to care.
Thank you so much, Francis.
You're welcome.
So we can see search and rescue is one of our work, but when we have the survivors on board, a full new part, basically even a bigger part of our operation starts, the care for the people. And in this field, we are focusing a lot on safeguarding of women and children. As Francis said, we're having a midwife, and she's the focal point for women and children. We are having a protected shelter for those, and they are the only ones who can enter in the ship, because for us it's important to offer them sheltered places where they are safe, and the midwife is the focal point for them, basically just taking care of them. We're going now into the women's shelter, and there we can meet Camilla, our comms officer. We're making an excuse right now for me to enter. Usually I'm not allowed. Hi, Camilla. We already spoke with Francis about the medical staff, but right now we're here in the women's shelter.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit more why we're having this protected space?
Yeah. So first of all, welcome to our women and children shelter. Actually, this is a space where we can accommodate around about 20 to 30 women with their children, and we have this safe space for this specific vulnerable group for a reason, like you already said. Sadly, it's very common and highly common in the for female survivors, especially for female survivors who flee across the central Mediterranean. Many of them had to endure sexual or gender-based violence. They haven't had any kind of a safe space for weeks, sometimes for months. We had women on board who couldn't put off their hijab for days at a time because they just didn't feel safe. And this is really a space where they can arrive, where they can be for themselves, where they can rest. They even have a shower for themselves over there. They don't even have to go out for that. They have their own water access over there. And we really see them using the space and retreating. We had that several times in the last rotation when they called us in for a specific reason, that some women, they were just in the corners, like really retreating, resting. They didn't leave the space for several days until they felt really rested. This is also a reason why we don't allow men in here at all. So this is a really no-go area for male red people, which means this can be a survivor, this can be a crew member, this can even be the family member, the husband. If they want to talk to their wife, for example, they can come to us. We can come in here, say, hey, your husband wants to talk to you. Do you want to go out, or shall we tell him later? And then that's also fine if they say later. And this is really well respected and well taken. It's not just a space for women, as I already said. Maybe we want to go over there to the to the area which is maybe more used for children. So this is, as you can see, an area without beds. So kids use that very, very often to play around, to put up card games, board games. When they are on deck, they are normally exposed to the weather elements very much. There are many hazardous spaces, the ship is moving, the wind is blowing, and this is really a safe space where they can play ball, they can hang out, they can just run around, and they really used it. And also we use it for small focus groups, especially for women, for example, for talking to them, especially the midwife is talking about mental health, reproductive health. Sometimes it's the first time that they can talk about menstruation, what's actually happening down there, and really feel safe about it, and they giggle around and have also fun. So this is really cool space where they can rest and arrive, and we're really happy to be able to give this area to the women, to the children, where they can really take the time to retreat and to arrive on the ship.
Thank you, that sounds amazing, and I really... Sometimes I was jealous because when I was on operation, I was never able to feel this mood and to see this here because, as we said, no man allowed, and that's a strict rule. This is, for us, one of the main policies. Keep the women and the children safe because they are the most vulnerable people fleeing on the Central Med. Thanks, Camilla.
Bye.
Right now, we are in the inside area, as we said, just for women and children. So men are sleeping outside in outside deck shelters, and that's where we're going right now. So now we are on the aft deck, so the deck which is on the very aft of the vessel. And this is our main shelter. We can protect it completely from weather and wind. We can close down everything and we can heat it up with heat lamps. So this is a really nice and quite comfortable place in the end. People sleep here on the ground. As we said, they're getting rescue kits, but also blankets. So in the night, this is a packed area where people sleep, and during the day, they need to clean up, and it's becoming a open space for deck activities, as Francis already explained us. We're having English classes here, people are washing their clothes. We are doing every morning a meeting to inform them what's happening. Transparency is one of the most important things in communication, to also work with the people, to have the good crowd control and to have everyone happy. People can serve themselves with hot tea constantly. So we're having a tea station 24/7, and they can basically serve them with all their needs in these multi-use cabins. These are showers, toilets, and urinals in one. We're having 6. 5 are for everyone. 1 is reserved for the females, the closest one to the shelter. We're having sinks where people can wash themselves, and we're having foot showers for all our Muslim survivors. We are displaying prayer times, and we're indicating where East is, so everyone can really fulfill their needs, which they haven't had the chance for a long time often. And that's for us really important. SOS Humanity is not just a name. For us, it's really important that everyone feels as treated as a human here, and that's what the whole team always tries to do. We are providing food 3 times a day. In the morning, they're getting hot tea and biscuits to start the day in a comfortable way, and then we're having warm meals twice a day. Lunch and dinner are warm meals cooked in our galley, and we're going there where our chief cook Inga is waiting for us. So now we're entering in the inside of the ship where only crew is allowed. This is not because we don't trust the survivors, but we also need to follow the rules of shipping, and we're having quite strict safety regulations due to working on a ship. And that's why inside area for the crew, but we take you. So as I said, twice a day, hot meals, sometimes for more than 200 survivors. Inga, how do you do that?
Hi, welcome to the Galley. My name is Inga. I'm one of the chief cooks here on board. So this is our galley, as you can see. We have different kinds of equipments, but when we have survivors on board, then the heart of the galley is our rice cooker Bart, which is here. In the rice cooker we can cook up to 200 portions at once, which is very, very helpful. We have basically 3 different kinds of meals. So we have rice, couscous, and lentils, and this is kind of like the basis, and then we try to make the meals as diverse as possible with different kinds of vegetables and also spices and herbs. So that's how we prepare everything here.
And so are you cooking different meals for crew and survivors? Is it like extra work, or how does that work?
No, once we have survivors on board, we all eat the same, so we don't have 2 different kinds of meals. So we have one meal which is for everyone, and then we usually eat outside as well, or how people prefer, also inside. But it's always nice to also eat outside with the survivors. And what usually happens when we prepare, or when the food is finished, then we put it in the elevator. And I will send you upstairs now, so you will see how the food travels outside, and then Jill will show you where the food distribution usually takes place.
So now you traveled the way of the food. We are now in the pantry, 1 level up, and this is how the food comes from the galley to the pantry, the elevator, the way you took right now. And then we're going with the food through our mess room. That's the common area of our crew. So this is the space where we do trainings, we do briefings, we have our food. So right now crew is having dinner. And so basically this is our main common area where everyone can rest down but also come together. And Then we continue through the vessel. And now we are back on the main deck, where we started basically. So here we're having food distribution. We are using reusable dishes. So basically the survivors are lining up. It's also a chance for the doctors to see everyone again. We're checking that everyone gets a meal, that nobody is forgotten. Basically, sometimes we have weak people who are not able to stand up or who are missing the food distribution. That's why we are checking to really assure that everyone gets their calorie and everyone gets their proteins, which they need to feel good on board. And then the survivors help us with cleaning the dishes. They also clean with us the toilets and everything. And this is how the day goes on. It starts with food and it ends with food. And here's also the area where the rescue starts with the embarkation and where the rescue ends with a disembarkation. People leaving here and to a place of safety. To be able to do this, we are completely financed by donors, private donors and regular donors. And distress cases, maritime incidents are not plannable, but your support is. And that's why we are currently looking for regular donors who want to support us constantly to save lives at sea and to regularly go out with our vessel. I think you've seen it now. That is a quite big operation. And having all of this, not just rescuing, but also taking care of the people, having humanitarian referrals to really assure that every person is also be able to be protected on shore when they leave this vessel. This is a quite big operation costing 9,000 euros a day. And therefore, we would really ask you, if you can, just give regular donations to us, because then we can plan and we can constantly go out to assure that nobody is in the end dying at sea anymore, because nobody should be left alone to drown. I hope you collected a lot of questions now, because we're going now back to the bridge where we meet our advocacy officer, Mirka. Advocacy is, next to communication, something we do on land. Mirka usually works in the office, but right now she's on board. And this is one different part of all our mission. We are saving lives at sea, but we protect them, which is happening here. But then we testify and we aim for change, political change, and that's why we're having people like Mirka who are doing political lobbying and advocacy to change what is happening right now in the Central Med. Let's meet her and let's get your questions done.
Welcome back on the bridge.
Hi Mirka, I already said that you are waiting for us with a lot of questions, hopefully. As we said, that's Mirka, our advocacy officer, usually working on land, but now we are on board together. And do you have questions for us already?
Yes, thank you very much for participating in this tour and for the comments and the questions that you left in the chat. And now I'm going to read them out and we will answer them. So the first question is, when searching, does the crew of SOS Humanity just follow certain clusters like east, west, north, south? Or do you also consider currents, waves, and common routes that refugees tend to take?
Good question. Yeah, I mean, we tackled it really briefly. Basically, search is a huge systematic thing. We're having different search patterns. We were talking about parallel patterns, east-west, but there are different patterns depending if we are searching a person in the water or if we're searching a boat which we have no idea about direction, speed, or anything. So every pattern has a different reason. And for example, what we do a lot is such a so-called dead reckoning. So we are we are getting a distress call, for example, from an airplane or from the Maritime Rescue Coordination Center in Rome or the NGO alarm phone, stating a position and maybe, in the best case, already a heading. So when we just get a position, we need to wait for an updated position to already have a direction. If we're getting a heading and a rough estimated speed, we can estimate where the boat is in respecting currency, winds and waves, and then our officers are doing the so-called dead reckoning, and we're trying to reach a so-called interception course. So we try to meet the boat on its way. Hopefully it's still sailing, because sailing boats are way safer than drifting boats. And like this, we try to estimate where the boat could be to enhance our search.
Thank you, Till. The next question is quite technical. It's about the speedboats. What kind of engines do we have on our speedboats?
So our speedboats are two different sizes. You saw maybe the one big one. It's a Vanguard rib just built for rescue, and it's a 4-stroke 175 horsepower engine. I hope some people can know what that means. Then we have a smaller rib, which is a so-called watchdog position. So we always ensure that never leave the distress case alone. So while the big boat, the big rib is shuttling, we're having a smaller rib with crew on board who is always ready to react. This is also a Yamaha 4-stroke engine, but 115 horsepower because it's a smaller rib.
Thank you very much. Third question. It's regarding the crew. How big is the crew on board?
So as we're having a quite big vessel, we're having 29 beds on board. It's bunk beds. Usually the crew sleeps in 2-person cabins. And we have 28 people in the crew, which means we're having a marine crew with officers, captain, engineers, the cooks. You met some of them. And then we're having the operational crew, which comes on board just for the special operation of search and rescue and care. So these are people like Francis, who are doing the care, like Vivi, who are doing the search and rescue. These people are employed, but there are many, many volunteers coming on board, basically donating their vacations, basically donating their whole free time of the year to come here on board. These are specialists in their field. We heard about doctors, we heard about psychologists. So these are not just random people. They are educated and really trained people who join us for this special course. And then in the end, we're having one free space for an external journalist to always take the media with us to then inform the society.
There's one question regarding the crew as well about the age of the crew members. There's an age restriction, and one person would love to hear more about the decision to have an age limit.
Now I would love to have my crewing department behind me, but I hope I don't say anything wrong. We're having age restriction basically to protect young people from what we can witness here. Search and rescue means saving lives at sea, but you cannot always do this. So we're encountering situations where you need to face death, drowning, injured people. You hear a lot of horrible stories from them, and this is nothing for a young brain. So we're having a quite strict age restriction to the age of 23. So nobody below the age of 23 can join our crew in the rescue operation. We can always talk about people during port time helping us, for example, in the kitchen or with logistic support on land, but going into the rescue, you need to be 23. And then basically there's no real age restriction towards older people, but we also need to keep in mind being on a vessel is a quite physical job, and especially in the search and rescue team you need to have physical fitness, and mariners, they need to go through medical certificates. So this is more the restriction. When you are 70 years old but really fit, we're happy to welcome you on board with your expertise, I guess.
Thanks, and it's really wonderful to see people of all ages helping out wherever they can with the abilities they have. One more question regarding the food that is served on board. Is there meat served on board, or is the food vegetarian? That's the question. I think you will like it.
Yes, I like it because the Humanity One is a fully vegan vessel. We decided to not serve any dairy products or meat products because basically climate change is one of the migration drivers, and eating meat and consuming animal products is quite political, and That's why we decided to not step into this and to not be one of the drivers of migration, to not invest money into drivers of migration. Of course, we don't want to educate everyone to become a vegan, so every crew member has a small fridge in their cabin. If they like, they can buy their favorite cheese or their favorite sausage. It's fine to eat meat on board. It's just that as association, we're not investing money into meat or any animal products.
Thanks, Till. There's one more question regarding crewing on board. Someone has had an interview with the crewing department already, and so applied, and the person would like to know if there should be done anything else or wait for a response.
Basically, wait for the response. We're getting a lot of requests and we're having a quite big crew pool. And right now we are fully crewed for this year. But last days I already planned the rotation schedule for the whole rest of 2024. So for sure there will be emails sent out soon when we are planning to recruit people for the next rotations. Right now we just planned 2 rotation 10 of this vessel, which starts in January. So right now we're collecting basically all the applications we had, and we will start recruiting soon for the rotations. Next year we are trying to sail 8 rotations, so basically the Humanity 1 is supposed to be in operation constantly throughout the whole year 2024, as long as we can finance that where it comes to you again, but we had that already down there. And the application process is quite long, and the person already said they had an interview. Maybe to mention that, to assure the safeguarding, which we also talked about today, we're having really strict interviews where you tackle questions about your mental health, your surrounding, your family or friendships. So basically to assure that people coming home from the missions are in a safe environment, but we're also tackling topics like how would you cope with situations. So really to also enable the people to go into their mind, to really wrap up their mind again. Is this mission something for me? Because we're taking care about our crew and the physical and psychological health of the crew. And that's why you're going through a quite long process of interviewing and recruitment, and then it's waiting time until hopefully the crew department reaches out to you. So best luck for that.
Thank you for all the questions that were, I hope we answered them all now, and thank you for taking the tour with us.
Yeah, also thanks from my side. Amazing that people joined. We were happy to be able to open up our ship to also everyone who was not able to come to Siracusa. Maybe if you are around or now you want to see even more, and the photo exhibition. The photo exhibition is partly online. You can scroll through the pictures, but also the ship is still open tomorrow. So if you are around, just come by. We are in port of Siracusa. Just come to the vessel. We are happy to welcome you. And otherwise, I'm sure we're having more of these formats soon. So hopefully we could inform you about our operation, and wishing you a lovely evening, I would say.
Goodbye.